Welcome, folks. Good Tavach, Shavua Tova. Good new week. We begin our week with continuing with our Mimer, Hasidic discourse, being redeemed in peace, which is connected to Yitzhak Kislev, the 19th day of Kislev, the day the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, the author of the Tanya, was released from prison. Okay, so to be redeemed in peace. Many layers to this. Torah, we know, is not in heaven. Comes from heaven, but it's not. Its implementation is down here in earth, even though it's a heavenly teachings, divine words of God. Yet it's down here in a place of darkness, this world, this physical world, as opposed to spiritual worlds. So it's here that the Torah needs to be redeemed in this world. So this world where godliness is not a given. The spiritual world, godliness is a given. Worldliness is a novelty. But here, living a worldly, material, physical existence, that's a given. Spirituality, godliness, that's already a novel thing that we introduce. So it's here that we need the redemption as a result. And it's through Torah. But there's a couple of ways that this could be done. It could be a redemption through Torah. There could be a battle. That would be, for example, battle. Battle means, as a teacher to students, in a classroom setting, not so much here, because I'm kind of just teaching and you're just receiving. But in a classroom setting where you have different levels of students, as King Solomon said, you have to teach a student according to their ways. And each student has a different path, a different grasping capability, a different way to assimilate teachings. And a proper teacher has to be able to give it in according to what their needs are and where they're at. And that's a struggle, called out a battle. You have to struggle with that to find the appropriate way to teach. On a certain level, I do that. On a certain level, not so much, again, because here I'm not dealing with anybody here individually, because you're just kind of just listening, as opposed to in a classroom setting where I have to make sure that I'm teaching everybody in accordance to where they're at, what their needs are, and to help them grow. So that's a struggle. That's studying Torah in a way that engages a struggle. But then there's studying Torah in a way that it's in peace, meaning sometimes it happens to us, maybe to you also, that you're learning Torah in such a way that you feel you're on top of the mountain, you're on a cloud. Even more than on top of the mountain. You're on a cloud. You feel that the material world is distant from you. Actually, one of the ways maybe you could see that you struggle, as opposed to what I just, you know, um, expressed and depicted, is that if you've got a lot of noise around you, a noise inside of you, and you struggle to pay attention to the class, that's a battle, right? In prayer, we struggle with that because it deals with the heart, but can be in Torah study too. Struggling to understand, struggling to be engaged, just fine. We're, then there is how Torah study redeems you in peace because you're not dealing with the material world. You're so beyond it that you don't even need your coffee, right? Or, or breakfast. If breakfast is on your mind and Torah studies on your mind, so, there's a struggle there, which is normal. That's okay. That's going to happen. And you try to overcome, okay, I'm learning now. I'm just going to focus. And there's this, but sometimes you learn in such a way that you really feel you're on top of the mountain. This is a struggle. There's nothing. Earthliness is beyond you. That's called learning Torah, that it redeems you in peace. You need redemption. Why? If you're on top of the cloud, because in the end, we're still human. And we're still in a situation where godliness is not the given. But sometimes we learn in such a way that we're above it all. Now, in Torah itself, there's also these two dimensions. Torah that needs to be redeemed through a struggle, and that would be the the what we call nigla of Torah, the revealed parts of the Torah, where there's questions, there's argumentation, right? That's a battle. Man, holy battle. Right? Battle doesn't mean bad. That's wonderful. You're trying to get to the bottom of the halacha, the, the, the idea in Jewish law. I just read in Ohio, in Washington Heights it was. Did I see that? Hold on. University Heights, Ohio. Mayor-elect Michelle Weiss, who is the first Orthodox Shomer Shabbos woman to be a mayor of a major city. And she's looking for halachic guidance on how to deal with things on Shabbos and holidays where she needs to observe, but yet she's responsible for a city and how to deal with that. Well, that's a struggle, if you will. I don't mean the struggle of how to balance the two things. I mean the struggle in Jewish law because of her, overarching responsibility. So if certain things come up, where she needs to be involved, so the halacha is going to be different for her than it would be for me. The ruling for me, since I'm not, responsible for a city, um, that would be different than it would be for her. So the Torah sage who needs to find the halachic ruling, as she's seeking it out now, um, is going to be a struggle, a battle, because there's going to be questions and back and forth. And that's part of Torah. That's part of it, as we learned in Tanya from the Zohar, that aspect of the Torah that's part of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because you've got to come to, you know, a discernment and understanding uh, through questions back and forth, where it's not so obvious, the halachic ruling. Okay, that's part of Torah that needs to be redeemed. So she needs an answer to her questions. And it's a first time, well, at least for a woman. There has been in Florida, Bell Harbor, and other places, Orthodox Jews who are the mayor. But, you know, maybe her questions and her issues will be also first time questions, at least first time for her. So, there's a struggle to find the truth of Torah teachings. But then there's a part of Torah that there is no struggle. And that's actually the part of Torah that we learn right now, Chassidus. Um, it's not based on of a difficulty that you need to now answer the question. Matter of fact, interesting that the next JLI course will be Rabbinic Responsa. Rabbinic Responsa is because there's a question, there's an issue, and we gotta get to the bottom of it and find the halacha. Right? That's a huge struggle. Right? As we will see in the forthcoming course, I have to invite everybody to join um, in January. But then there is studying Chassidus. Chassidus is all about godliness. On the level of godliness, it's not based on question. It's not based on a difficulty. It's based on understanding the spiritual levels of godliness. So that study is a study that redeems us in peace. Right? Again, as opposed to sometimes you have a question in halacha, and it's a simple answer. It's not a struggle. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about Chassidus that deals with godliness, right? Levels of the divine, the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, and so on, as opposed to Jewish law is dealing with the practicality of living life down here in a dark world where there might not be clarity on particular issues on how to lead your life with certain things. Like I just gave the example of this mayor-elect. So, and it's dealing with things of this world where this is a dark world. And we need to clarify, dark world doesn't mean a bad world. A dark world doesn't mean um, dark world means there isn't clarity of the divine. So in a dark world, there isn't a clarity of the divine, what the divine will is in a particular circumstance. But when you're speaking Hasidic teachings, it's not dealing with a dark world. It's dealing with godliness. Well, godliness is light. So in that area of teachings, it is a redemption without struggle. That's what it represents. Now, go further. Because the verse says, so, Pada b'shalom nafshi, redeemed the peace, ki mikravli, because close to me. So you can have this redemption by being close or distant. What does that mean? Close to me means that this study of Torah that's redeeming has to come to action, that it changes me in my actions. If not, then the Torah I've studied is distant from me. It's an idea. It's an ideology. It's a philosophy. It's, it's a philosophy, right? That's not necessarily.
This is Phil's my clutch.
Thank you.
Okay, and inside
Yeah,
are
two more.
ones that are missing.
Right.
Okay. So
Oh, thank you.
Jules gonna vote.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
and you let me know, so I know when I go to make it vote next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Someone just bought a Talmud volume that we're missing here. Talking about, right? So that's the Talmud. Talmud is back and forth argumentation, right? So the argumentation sometimes could be very um, abstract, which may not come to any particular action that a person brings that brings them to a particular action of doing a mitzvah. So what it means, the study of Torah in this instance, that it's close to me, meaning it's touching me, it's affecting me. Right. Even if though I may be on top of the mountain, right? That I'm the material world is not affecting me when I study Torah, because I'm just, you know, I think we some of us actually do feel this from time to time. Right? We're on top of the world. There's no obstacle, no problems. At the same time, the teachings have to touch me personally, meaning has to touch me that it will come um, to something actionable, right? That I'm actually, you know, doing something more. It's bringing more in my actions out, in my commitment to God. It's bringing out more in me. And it's not just a wonderful, beautiful um, teachings that feel them that is inspiring, but the inspiration is bringing to actualization in in my not just behavior, but in me doing something more for Hashem. Psh, very powerful. Very powerful. All right, folks. We will see you soon. Bye.